beautiful people of the internet. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully great, and welcome to Budget Builds, where we use zero Forma and achieve maximum efficiency. In today's video, we're taking a close look at Mesa, aka the gunslinger of Warframe. So I do want to say thank you so much to everybody who came by to the stream and still continue to support me during my absence. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. It feels so good to be back, and I'm really happy to be back and making more videos. But before I continue with this one any further, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys would like to support me or the channel any further, remember to leave a like, as this does help me out substantially. Spartan, click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos and streams. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a Discord server, so if you guys would like to go and interact with me outside of YouTube or during any one of my live streams, there will be a link down in the description, so go ahead and check it out. Without further ado, let's get this video on the road, shall we? So we are going to be prioritizing on Mesa's Peacemaker. That is her signature ability, and this basically allows us to go and wield her pistols and go and mow down multiple enemies in rapid succession. That's how it works. Now, typically the biggest issue when it comes to actually going and wielding Peacemaker is it has a lot of damage fall off, as in there is no other way to go and increase the fire rate of it even further outside of, arcane acceleration, and you can't go and increase the crits in any way or form. So the best way to go and do things is to go and debuff the enemies. How we're going to do this, we are simply then going to go and replace Mesa's first ability with Necros' Terrify. If you guys didn't know, during the VeilBreaker update, Terrifier received a massive buff, which basically allows us to go and armor strip the enemies relatively easy. What makes it even better is the power strength requirement isn't as crazy as it used to be. On top of that, Terrifier does actually go and synergize really well with Shatter Shield. Mainly because the fact that Terrifier does offer us crowd control, because the enemies will be terrified of you, but on top of that, Shatter Shield also allows us to go and deflect any form of bullets that are coming to us. However, it only gives us a 95% damage reduction, and do remember this, 5% of a large number is instant death. Now, Shooting Gallery is also very good to have as well, mainly because the fact it can go and buff your overall weapon damage, ranging from your Peacemakers all the way up to your secondary weapon. Now, as for the build, here is what we're going to be rolling around with. So as you guys can see, we don't have any Forma installed on this build, because remember, this is an episode of budget builds. And as for stats, we are going to be going around with an all-rounder build. So strength, range, efficiency, and neutral duration. So neutral duration and efficiency, mainly because of the fact that Mesa's number 4, or Mesa's Peacemaker, does have a large amount of drain. So you need to be having a decent amount of duration along with maximum amount of efficiency. Next up is we are going to be using range, not because of Mesa's Peacemaker, but mainly because of Necros' Terrify, which allows you to go and armor strip the enemies at a decent range. Remember, we don't want to be up close in front of the enemy's face in order to go and armor strip them. We do want to have a decent amount of range in order to go and strip their armor. And of course, we are going to be using power strength for two particular reasons. One, we want to make sure that Mesa's Peacemaker does have a decent amount of damage. And two, of course, you need to have exactly 169 or 167% power strength in order to make sure that Terrify can do armor stripping at 100%. Remember, you don't want to go and hit Terrify twice in order to go and fully strip the enemy's armor. It's always better to go and hit one, and then therefore the enemy's armor is gone, and on top of that, they are running away. For the build, here is what we're going to be rolling around with. So, as you guys can tell, we are going to be using growing power for even more power strength. Remember, the more power strength we have, the more damage output Mesa's Peacemaker does make. Now, this particular mod is optional. You guys can go with Steel Charge if you want. The only reason why you would go with Steel Charge is mainly because of the fact that you have more mod capacity. More mod capacity equals more flexible modding in general. Next up is we are going to be adding, Power Drift along with Intensify, with August Secrets, of course. Now, these three damage mods, like I said, more damage you guys have, the more damage output your Peacemaker will deal. And of course, Necros will also be able to, not Necros, you'll be able to go and armor strip the enemies if you have to have enough power strength. Next up is we are going to be attaching ourselves one range mod, that is Stretch. Unfortunately, we can't go and add more range, as we do need to have more power strength in order to ensure that our Terrify can go and armor strip. Now, because this is endgame, and of course Mesa is a very squishy frame, adaptation is your best friend. Adaptation does synergize really well with Shatter Shield along with Necros' Terrify, because remember, on top of like stripping enemies armor, you can actually go and have crowd control on top of that, which is actually really good, especially considering how squishy Mesa currently is. And of course, we are going to be using Fleeting Expertise along with Streamline, therefore we have Maximum Efficiency. Now remember, the maximum efficiency cap is rank 4 on Fleeting Expertise and rank 4 on Streamline. Doing so will actually allow you to have maximum efficiency. If you guys go and have a rank 5 of both these mods, you guys are practically wasting mod capacity. Now in this case, it doesn't really make a difference, so what I did is I do recommend rather roll with a rank 4 Fleeting Expertise, as it does lower your duration. So rather have a little bit more, drain, or a little bit less drain on your 4 than having a lot more drain, if you know what I mean. Because some of these builds, especially with Terrify, is quite energy hungry. And of course, we are going to be rolling around with a prime floor for a much bigger energy pool. Remember, we are going to be spamming a lot of our builds. All 4 of our abilities will be spammed on top of each other, mainly because we want to go and debuff the enemies, buff ourselves, decimate the enemies, and of course give ourselves even more damage reduction on top of things. Now, because we are going to be using all 4 abilities continuously, what we're going to be rolling around Arcane Energize to go and replenish our, energy pool, and of course Arcane Velocity to go and increase the damage output of our Regulators. Now remember, Regulators are considered pistols, so Arcane Velocity does work on Mesa's pistols. Remember, the faster you can fire, the higher your DPS will be, and you don't have to worry about ammo on the Regulators, mainly because the fact that it is an exalted based ability with no ammo pool whatsoever. The only time you really have to worry about your Regulators is the amount of energy you currently have. But hey, with Arcane Energize and a maximum efficiency, you guys will be 100%. Especially with Prime Flow, that just makes things relatively easy. If you guys feel like Prime Flow is a bit of a waste, do feel free to go and take it out and go and add more ranged mods. Remember, these builds that I do make across my channel is just a blueprint to how I think you guys should go and build. Remember, go and mod to your heart's, to your heart's desire. Of course, my builds are not the be all to end all builds. Now, as for the Regulators, like I said, there's anything special. We're all going to be going with your standard critical chance multi-shot build, and of course an element of your choice. I, however, am going to be using Gunslinger, because remember, more fire rate would equal more damage output, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how fast you fire, it only matters on how much energy you guys currently have. But if you guys don't want to have more rate of fire and you guys can want to go and get yourself more damage, then feel free to go and replace Gunslinger with Auger Pact, as it does give you an extra 90% raw damage output, and on top of that, it also gives you a bit of more shields if you guys really want to go and use it. Of course, remember, this is an episode budget build, so we aren't going to be using any Forma whatsoever, otherwise this wouldn't be budget builds now, would it? We are also going to be using Vaseline, because remember, at the end of the day, these enemies are still going to be hitting us, and 5% of a large number can go and kill us. Sometimes we can go and survive. This adaptation does make a world of a difference, but remember, it's always great to have a way of healing, and because we are going to be dealing with the steel path, it's always great to give yourself some form of invincibility frames. Maybe because of those acolytes, they're very annoying. I still struggle to take them out, maybe because of the fact that I'm always got a build that's based off of the majority of the enemy, which is going to be the Grineer in this particular case. So let me demonstrate to you guys what kind of results to go and expect from this particular loadout. Now remember, I am going to be using raw damage and all these guys are paused, but let me tell you, this build absolutely slaps. So what we're simply going to then do is to go and terrify the enemies. As you guys can tell, this entire room has definitely been armor stripped, so don't really worry about your range when it comes to terrify. Once they have been stripped with your armor, simply go and activate Peacemaker and start decimating them like so. As you guys can tell, that is relatively quick, and what makes this load even better is we don't even have any of our damage buffs on. We don't have growing power active, nor do we actually go and have our shooting gallery active. So this is raw damage, and I don't know about you guys, but that is insanely fast. So, ladies and gentlemen, do go take a look at the rest of my videos. This is the new scaling build for Mesa. Don't let anybody tell you that Mesa does not have any scalability, because trust me, with Helmet, anything is possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to leave a like on the video, and of course, Spartan click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos and streams. And also, do go take a look at the Discord server. There you guys can go and find a link in the description. When you guys do go join, you can go and interact with me outside YouTube or during any one of my live streams. I'm Mac like a banana and split.